And we are back. Now, this is going to be, unfortunately, the last predictions video of the 2021-2022 NFL season. And it's going to be me predicting the whole entire playoffs. Now, as you can see here, I did force the home and away wins, just so it's easier, then I can go through the divisional conference championship, Super Bowl, all that. I'm not predicting the scores, I'm just predicting the winner. But starting out, there's the Las Vegas Raiders, who are currently the 5 seed, at the Cincinnati Bengals, who are currently the 4 seed. These two teams played earlier this season, and the Bengals did ultimately win that game. I do not remember the score, but the Raiders at the moment are potentially the hottest team in the NFL because they have come off of very impressive wins from a bunch of opponents. And those wins, the past two, have bounced that team out of the playoffs. They beat the Colts 2 weeks ago. If the Colts would have won that game, they would have guaranteed a playoff spot. They ultimately ended up losing to Jacksonville, which bounced them from the playoffs. And then they beat the Chargers, and the Chargers were in a situation where if they won, they were in. So yeah, but I am gonna pick the Bengals to win this game. Both teams, by the way, are 10-7. I'm gonna pick the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals, they rested their starters last week. Well, majority of them. They played a few guys. They played like Jamar Chase, I believe, so he could try and set a record. But they sat guys: Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Howard Boyd, I believe, all those guys. I'm gonna pick the Bengals to win. I feel like the Bengals are personally the more complete roster, and I feel like they'll show that in a somewhat close game. But ultimately, the Bengals will have the leverage at the end. Next, we have the Patriots and the Bills. The Patriots are currently 10-7. They are the 6th seed, and the Bills are currently 11-6, and they are the 3 seed. Both these teams are in the same division, so it's going to be kind of awkward. These two teams played twice this season, ultimately ending in a 1-1. They split. Yeah. Ultimately, what I think is going to make the difference is Bill Belichick's experience in the postseason. Now, I know Sean McDermott, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He knows the postseason pretty well as well, considering he was in it last season. But ultimately, Bill Belichick knows it a lot better than he does. Well, Sean McDermott knows it recently, but ultimately, Bill Belichick knows it better. Now, I feel like the Patriots will win this game, but the only reason I see them potentially losing this game is because of Mac Jones. It's going to be kind of hard to rely on a rookie quarterback in the postseason. So, I don't know if they're going to feel confident enough with that quarterback. Yeah. Ultimately, though, I feel like the Patriots will win that game. Not 33-14. I think it'll be very close. I expect like a one-score game. Next, we have the Steelers, who are currently 9-7-1, I believe. I don't have the record down here, so I'm just gonna have to quickly find it. Let me find it quickly. Yes, they're 9-7-1. I don't know why I don't have the Steelers record. Let me just write that down. All right. Steelers are 9-7-1, and the Chiefs are currently 12-5. The Chiefs are the 2 seed. The Steelers are the 7 seed, both AFC. Also, in case you are wondering, these are not the actual times of the games. There is, I believe these top two are on Saturday. I believe the Bengals is 4:30, the Bengals Raiders 4:30, and the Patriots Bills is 8:30. I know the Steelers Chiefs is, I believe, Monday, like Monday night, and then I believe these bottom three are Sunday. I just don't know the times. So yeah, these two teams ultimately played not too long ago. I believe it was week 16 or 17, and I believe the Chiefs won that game 36-10. So pretty dominant win. Do I think the Steelers are going to come back with their revenge? Probably not. Who knows though? This is the probably Ben Roethlisberger's last season. This could be his last game. People thought it'd be last week, but here we are. I mean, they got help from the Jaguars and the Raiders. But I ultimately see the Chiefs winning this game. I expect it to be a two-score game, whether it's 10, 13, 14, 11, all that. Next, we have the... Okay, I am recording good. We have the Cardinals, who are currently... Where are the Cardinals at on this list? 11 and 6. They are the 5 seed at the Los Angeles Rams, who are currently 12 and 5. They are the 4 seed. These two teams played twice before. I believe the first game was like week 3, and it was like 34-20 Cardinals. It was so long ago, I don't remember. And then these teams played recently, and I believe the outcome of that game was 30-23 Rams. So they ultimately split the series. Yeah. What it's gonna come down to, I believe, is how good the defenses can be. Ultimately, both these teams have really good receiving cores, solid running backs, pretty solid quarterbacks. Now I say pretty good defenses, talent-wise, that is. But ultimately, I think the Cardinals are going to win this game. I feel like what it's going to come down to is who is going to play like the better quarterback, and I ultimately think Kyler Murray is going to play like the better quarterback just because of his mobility. I feel like it's going to give him a slight advantage. Next, we have the 49ers, currently 6 seed. They're 10 and 7. At the 3 seeded Cowboys, who are currently 12 and 5. The Cowboys, they went 6 and 0 in their division, pretty solid. And yeah, that's all that's really need to be said about them. They didn't play a very good division. These two teams I don't think met this season, so. And the 49ers, they went 10 and 7. I believe they went 3 and 3, I want to say. I believe they lost twice to the Cardinals and split with the Seahawks. And they beat the Rams twice. Now, both these teams are known for the same thing. Their defense, both of them, a great pass rush, great secondary in my opinion. They're known for their receivers. You know, Michael Gallup, or no, he's the one injured. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and then you have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Cowboys have a lot better quarterback, but 49ers also have a lot better of a tight end, and both these teams have pretty similar O-lines. Now, ultimately, as you can tell, it sounds like a very similar unit, and ultimately what I think this is going to come down to is special teams. Now, if you don't know, a lot of what Cowboys fans have been saying is Greg Zuerlein is not a very good kicker. I have to disagree. I mean, he's not a good kicker in my opinion, like in the compared to like other kickers in the NFL. But you gotta realize it's hard to make the NFL, no matter what the position is, let alone to stay in the NFL. And that's exactly what he's done. I believe he's like 33 years old, and he's still a starter in the NFL. So that all alone is good. But unfortunately here, I feel like he is going to more than likely cost them the game. I believe Greg Zuerlein has to miss at least one kick per game to every other game. I feel like he's going to miss one every playoff game no matter how far they go, whether it's a field goal or extra point. So I'm going to take the 49ers to win. And last, probably least, well, maybe not. I expect the 49ers Cowboys as well to be a close game. I expect all these games to be 1-2 scores. Well, including this one. It's a spoiler. I have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are currently the 7th seed, who I believe went 3-3 in their division. I could be wrong. I believe they beat Washington twice and beat the Giants once. They split with the Giants, I believe. I could be wrong though. And Buccaneers, I believe, went 4-2, losing twice to the Saints. Ultimately, what I feel like both these teams have established, they have pretty solid O-lines, pretty good running game. One side has pretty good receivers and the other has okay, but the Buccaneers are heavily injured when it comes down to the receiving section. With Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I believe Mike Evans playing through injury, Chris Godwin's out for the season. I believe Gronk's playing through an injury, and Antonio Brown's not on the team, so I believe they're gonna have like Scotty Miller. I believe, I don't know if he's still on the team, and I don't remember the other guy's name. It's like Silent or Cyrus or whatever his name is. And then the Eagles, both pretty good defenses. I feel like the Buccaneers is way better, but the Eagles one, it can come to play when it has to. I ultimately think what this is going to come down to is the quarterback play. Now, Tom Brady is the better quarterback, but Jalen Hurts does have the mobility. But ultimately, I don't really think the mobility is going to help him much in this scenario. I think the Buccaneers are going to win in a close game, one score. Now we head over to the divisional round, where I have the Patriots and Titans. Titans had a first round bye. They were the 1 seed at 12-5. They went, I believe, 5-1 in their division. I want to say they lost to the Texans. And the Patriots went 3-3, losing to the Dolphins twice and splitting with the Bills. Now, the Titans, they've been playing without arguably the best player on their team, arguably best running back. I wouldn't really say best offensive player, but they've been playing without Derrick Henry, and they've done this well, so I ultimately think getting Derrick Henry back will be very phenomenal. But I do feel like the Patriots are very well known for stopping the run. I feel like they will show off. I feel like every team they will face will try and establish the run game, and it just won't work. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I really do. I expect a somewhat of a blowout, honestly, from the Patriots. These two teams met. I want to say they met earlier in this season, and the Titans won, but I could be wrong. But they did play in the playoffs against each other a few years ago, and ultimately, Mike Vrabel led that team to the victory. And people say it's the reason Tom Brady left. Next, we had the 49ers and the Packers. The Packers, they had their first round bye as well, being the 1 seed in the NFC. Packers rested their starters in Week 18. They came away with the win, or the loss, against the Lions in a pretty close game. But ultimately, what I think this is going to come down to is how well Jimmy Garoppolo / Trey Lance is going to play in the cold. That's what Green Bay is known for, is how cold it is. Ultimately, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback out of either of those guys. And I ultimately feel like Green Bay is going to make sure they know how to stop that run game. The 49ers have been held in check lately besides Deebo Samuel. I don't know how teams don't expect a run from him. If he runs in the backfield, I'm expecting a run. And yeah. Ultimately, it's going to come down to if they can stop Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I don't know the one guy's name. I want to say it's like Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, all those guys. And I ultimately think the Packers will. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be like a 3-4 point game. And I think the Packers will win. Next, we had the Bengals and the Chiefs. The Bengals, oops, the Bengals and the Chiefs. These two teams played before this season. Oh, excuse me. These two teams played before once this season, and the Packers won that game. These two teams played before this season, and the Bengals won off of a game-winning field goal. So did the Packers against the 49ers. Yeah. I ultimately think the Chiefs are gonna get their revenge, and not just get their revenge. They're gonna let the Bengals know they shouldn't have beat them the first time around. I think the Chiefs may potentially. I don't know if you remember, but earlier this season, the Chiefs and Steelers played to where the people freaking playing the game literally switched it to a different game. If it wasn't the playoffs, I think, they would consider doing that in this game. I think it's going to ultimately be, not as bad as you think, probably 14. It's going to be close, but score-wise, but ultimately the Chiefs they're going to dominate stat-wise and ultimately get the win. Last in this divisional round, we have the Cardinals and the Buccaneers. These two teams didn't play before this season, but I do expect. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't really want to talk about either of these teams because I don't really know much about them. I feel like the Buccaneers, this score is somewhat accurate. I feel like the Buccaneers are going to blow the Cardinals out. The conference championship, we have the Chiefs and Patriots. I believe these teams may have met this season, and I believe the Patriots won if they did. I'm not sure. But ultimately, I think Kansas City's going to move on to the Super Bowl for, what would this be, 3 times in a row? This would be their 4th time in a row making it at least to the championship game, so congrats to them. But ultimately, what I feel like it's going to come down to is the Chiefs are going to make Mac Jones, they're probably going to blitz a bunch of times and make Mac Jones, under pressure, uncomfortable, and that's probably the worst thing you want from a guy in his rookie season. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to return to back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. And then we had the Buccaneers and Packers. I think this game, people are going to potentially say game of the year. I feel like there's nothing topping that Raiders-Chargers. I remember Steelers fans went on their Twitter and freaking Steelers posted something. And then all the Steelers fans were complaining about how rigged the NFL was. Mate, everyone knows the NFL is rigged. How the hell do you think all of this happens? It may not be rigged. It could just be the refs being bad, but ultimately there's not much you can do about that. Now, I think the Packers will win this game. I feel like it's going to be very close. But ultimately, I think they'll come away with the win and hope to get Aaron Rodgers another Super Bowl. And that's where we head here. As you can see, I have a way. Packers and Chiefs will finally get the State Farm Bowl that everyone's wanted. We've seen this matchup a few times now, but one of the quarterbacks have been injured every time. So we'll finally get it in arguably the most important game. Chiefs last won their Super Bowl 54, which is 2 years ago from the Super Bowl. And the Packers won their Super Bowl 45, which would be 11 ago. So, both these teams, relatively recent Super Bowl wins. But what I ultimately think is going to come down to is the Packers playing for more heart, knowing that majority of their guys, they're probably not going to see each other, depending on, where they go. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, I believe Robert Tunyon's a free agent. There's some guys on offense. I'm sure there's a lot more. And then there's a bunch on defense. I believe that Darius Smith could be a free agent. I think he's under contract until next year, but I think there's an out they can choose to have. And yeah. But I think the Packers will win this game. I think the Packers, even though they win the Super Bowl, I think they're probably going to split up after the season anyway. All go their separate ways. And, have a happily ever after to that season. And potential, I guess you could say, dynasty I don't know. I mean, I'd say back to back to back NFC Championship appearances at least is a dynasty. And yeah. So quick recap. In the wild card, I have the Chiefs beating the Steelers, Patriots beating the Bills, Bengals beating the Raiders, Buccaneers beating the Eagles, Cowboys beating the 49ers beating the Cowboys, Cardinals beating the Rams. Divisional round, I have the Patriots beating the Titans, the Packers beating the 49ers, the Chiefs beating the Bengals, and the Buccaneers beating the Cardinals. Championship game, I have the Chiefs beating the Patriots and the Packers beating the Buccaneers. And in the Super Bowl, I have the Packers beating the Chiefs. Now, once again, this will more than likely be my last prediction video. I doubt I'll do any more. Don't you worry though, on Twitter, I will post my predictions. You know, for like the divisional round, say I'm completely wrong practically. I'll post, you know, who I think's gonna win. And the conference championship and the Super Bowl, I'll do that. I'll also be doing that for power rankings. Probably not tier list, but yeah, it's an end of an era for this season. I hope to be back next season to be doing this, but if you don't know, I did edit a few videos very well, and then ultimately school came back. That was practically all on winter break when I did those editings. And then out of nowhere, school came back, and it was a lot harder than before. Because ultimately, I don't see this being my job, so I do gotta focus on school. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I did. During when football's not on, well, the NFL, I want to do this similar content, but for the USFL. And then I'll probably switch over to XFL in 2023. I believe they're going to be back next season, so I ultimately think one of those teams is going to put the other out of business, and I believe it's going to be the XFL putting the USFL because people are probably going to want to watch Brock, even though he probably doesn't know much about football, him being like the owner and stuff. Then yeah, that's kind of my plan. Tomorrow there's going to be the normal tier list. On Friday, it's going to be Falcons franchise. Saturday, unknown. Monday, no video. Sunday, like normal. Monday, Falcons franchise. And Tuesday, you'll probably get one of the last, if not the last, power rankings. And then after that, that's gonna really be it. Well, besides Falcons franchise, I'll probably try and do a few other fun videos in there. But yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I did. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.